where's that face mask? And do I have to wear it or not? And a lot of people were working from home instead in their normal place of business, even going to school at home. And of course, that totally disrupted many families as well. And so all those changes were not really a welcome thing. And certainly in church, too, we had to make a lot of changes that we didn't particularly like. Just 2 years ago, we didn't even have worship in the sanctuary with people in the pews. It was purely online, and we're so grateful, of course, to have it back. But there's lots of other things that we've changed and had to change over the years, and you know how much Lutherans love change. But you know, sometimes we do welcome a change. A change can, in fact, be for the better. It can be a good thing. And when we're in a bad situation, we would love a change, but then sometimes we wonder if it's ever going to happen. We just sort of dig in, we accommodate the situation, we acclimate ourselves to it. We just figure it's always going to be this way. It is what it is. Say, for example, you've got a leaky roof, and you just put a bucket under the drip without really the ability to change it. You can't afford a new roof, and so you're just going to put up with it, figuring there's nothing that you can do. Sometimes when people come along promising improvements and changes and making life better, we're skeptical. We think if it sounds too good to be true, then it probably is. We don't like false hope. We don't like Pollyanna promises. We would prefer to live in the real world. Even if we don't like it, at least we know what to expect. Well, with all this in mind, let's go back, as it were, to that first Easter, put ourselves in the place of Jesus' disciples, and try to appreciate the changes that they were experiencing, and learn some things ourselves in the process. First of all, early on that first Easter Sunday morning, when they went to the tomb, they found it surprisingly open and surprisingly empty. What would they have expected? We know that they got up very early in the morning on the first day of the week while it was still dark. They would have been walking there to where Jesus had been crucified. There was a garden tomb in proximity to that. They would have expected to see this huge boulder of a stone that was rolled in front of the opening of the grave, and that it would have been sealed by the governor Pontius Pilate. There would have been a guard of soldiers that were posted there to make sure nobody would tamper in any way with the grave. They would have expected that it would have been thoroughly sealed up with dead Jesus inside. They were well aware that Jesus had died. Now, I know most of Jesus' disciples fled out of fear and were not there at the cross, but we know that John was, and Jesus' mother was, and lots of other women were there watching Jesus' crucifixion. They saw that he had that spear thrust into his side and that he was thoroughly dead, no question about it. And so they would certainly not have expected to find Jesus outside of the tomb, or for that matter, the stone rolled away. So they probably would have assumed the worst. They would have thought, somebody must have robbed the grave. Somebody must have stolen his body. And of course, that would have made them quite fearful, for they would have thought that everybody would assume that they were the ones that stole the body. After all, even Jesus' enemies knew that he had claimed that he could rise again from the dead, and it would have been convenient, of course, for the disciples to steal his body and then try to perpetrate a hoax that he had actually risen from the dead. So they would have had a lot of fear about getting found out, a lot of concern that